Making sexual advances to someone without their consent.
Like it's something without consent, obviously.
Whether that be vocal or hinting at anything, or if it crosses that line to go physical.
Any sort of sexual contact that is unwanted by one party, no matter how small or how big that may be.
If you have to question what is going on, if you're okay with it, then something wrong is happening.
I was not shocked whatsoever.
I wasn't shocked.
I'm not really surprised.
It's sad that I'm not surprised.
It was unshocking. I was just waiting for it to happen. It boggles my mind that some people that do know about it still think of these chefs in high regards, or they still will eat at their restaurants or go to their Italy markets. Shout out Mario Batali.
I've worked alongside people like that for the longest time. They abuse their power. If you're that person underneath them, there's not a whole lot you can do.
Like, you're looking up to these people and saying, wow, like I want to be like them, and it's like, well, now I don't want to be like you. That's disgusting that you would ever do that to anybody.
I feel that that's just something that everyone in the food service industry sort of knew was happening, but no one really knew how to talk about it.
It's just the environment. I have a lot of respect for the people that have came forward. You know, without them, there's nothing to it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Before I came to the CIA, I spent about a year working in corporate kitchens as a line cook in almost primarily male kitchens. I had line cooks who would not call me by my name and instead would call me by pet names. While I was just doing prep for service one morning, he cornered me and told me that I needed to find another man and I would always be for you, baby, and my man's gonna leave me because men always cheat, and once he does, I'll be there for you, baby. Like, physically cornering me while I was trying to work. It wasn't seen as odd. I had people asking me intimate questions about my sex life during work, and it made me uncomfortable. After that incident with that one man, I did end up going to my supervisor about it. I talked to my chef about it. I asked if I could be scheduled on opposite schedules of him. I also asked for anonymity, but, you know, being one of 3 women who worked in the kitchen, that's kind of challenging. So he filed a report, and this person he got sort of ballistic. And it got to the point where I would intentionally show up 5 minutes late for work every day because I needed to wait for him to leave before I felt safe going in.
There's definitely those dishwashers that'll be like, oh, mom, you look so cute. And, you know, for a couple days you're like, okay, that's nice and everything. When it starts affecting your work and your safety to try to leave work, that was definitely something that I was like, okay, this needs to stop. So then that's when I went to my manager and it got shut down that day.
Every kitchen I've ever worked in that has had like line of sight to guests, there's been some sort of code word to designate attractive women walking through the door. It's just a culture that's sort of toxic to work in.
Happens to a lot of people, unfortunately, and especially I never realized that with the Me Too movement, like just how many people it happens to. Just like everyone you know, everyone.
Professional kitchens, yes. Not so much on campus. Always the first thought of when a woman entered the kitchen was who could try to hook up with her first. Then the second thought was, oh, how good could she cook? I thought that was a completely normal, completely okay. It's really like older brother, younger brother type of thing. You see your older brother doing it, so you kind of think it's like, okay. Guys can be guys, girls can be girls. We're still gonna be attracted to people, but there's obviously professional limits that have to be there.
We had a walk-in that didn't have like a window, so you couldn't see into the refrigerator. This kid used to always go into the walk-in whenever like a girl would go in there. I finally asked my friend, I was like, were you ever uncomfortable when he like walked in like right behind you? And she was like, yeah, because he would corner you.
At my extern, I would constantly be cornered in a walk-in and was talked to like sexually. I don't know why men think that when you're alone they can just corner you and try to make their sexual advances that way. That is so gross to me and completely cowardly. It's completely cowardly of them to do that. So.
There's a lot of guys who grab me, like especially in the bathroom. If I'm at the urinal, I've had a guy grab my butt before. I had one of the MITs at the school. He tried to kiss me. I've had to like rethink the way I talk and act. If you're too friendly, people might get the wrong idea.
Oh, definitely. When I was on my externship, I got rude comments from male coworkers constantly. It was something that happened pretty much all the time.
I actually was in a bake shop with all women. I didn't have any guys in our class making us feel uncomfortable.
In my class, we only had one boy, but it was still like all girls.
Being in a class also with 19 females and 1 male, the environment is totally different.
I haven't had issues with it too much at CIA. I think part of that is because I was in a primarily female baking class. I had 2 men in my class and they were both super respectful.
My class consists of 15 people and there's only 3 females. It's kind of hard because they don't respect us as much as they do their fellow males. Like, I'll try and say something loud, expect a herd, no one does it. So this other guy, he knows it, so he'll repeat it, and then everyone says herd.
On campus, I feel like it's very accepting, whereas in the real world, in kitchens I've been in, people are not as accepting. Women are not looked upon the same as I am. I don't even know how it would be for someone who's transgender.
As for on campus, we're doing pretty well. As for some of the places that I've worked professionally, I feel like definitely not. The sexual orientation side and gender side is something that we still really need to work on.
Diversity is what brings people into the culinary industry, so I'd say it's less of an issue, I guess.
I remember I had like my chef just insulting me, just like straight up degrading me. A lot of ego flying around. And like, you're like, oh man, you pussy, yo, like hurry up. But like, I knew in my heart he didn't like mean those things. After that whole hour, ripping me in front of everybody, he would come up to me and be like, he would like grab me on the shoulders and you did great, man. But like some people just kind of need that motivation to prove something. With that old school macho mentality, it makes it really hard to progress forward.
I think it's very childish. You want people to ask questions, you want people to learn, but you also don't want people to mess up. But whenever they come ask you for help or when they mess up, you throw a tantrum.
It makes you scared, and you can't just dedicate yourself and focus yourself to your work. Oh, I can't walk this direction in the kitchen because then I walk past this person that makes me feel very uncomfortable, so I have to walk a different way. It's things like that that makes it harder to do your job. You kind of keep to yourself more, you're not as outgoing, like only really talk to the people that you really trust. And you should trust everyone because the kitchen is your team. And sometimes it's not always like that.
A lot of professional kitchens don't have female chefs. Our chefs here teaching us are mostly all male. It's only men's perspective. What about us? It's a small thing, but it's a big thing at the same time.
There's sort of an expectation of women in the kitchen to be just as aggressive, just as rude. The expectation to be one of the boys. There are some female chefs that are just terrified of showing any sort of weakness. It almost feels the same as those young guys trying to protect their ego. These women lose that sensitivity to others, the communication aspect, and the being empathetic and understanding, which would benefit everybody in a kitchen.
The culinary field is so male-dominated. You go in there and you roll up your chef sleeves, you have your tattoos, and you play with knives and fire, and there's just this persona of who a chef is.
It's hard to gel with that, antagonizing your employees and getting, fear to work for you for your productivity. It's a lot of the times really overpowering for people.
You know, a restaurant type kitchen is where a man is supposed to be and a woman belongs in a kitchen at home. Having that mindset coming into school, I wanted to be the person to kind of be like, I'm a female and I'm here, so you're not gonna like stop me from being in a kitchen.
You can pick up that 50-pound bag of flour, so can I.
I think definitely just like a listening environment, just a very open-minded facility where everybody can be who they want to be.
If you can't trust the person next to you, you're not in the right restaurant.
This is so cheesy, but just treat everyone equally, like no matter their race, gender, ethnicity, culture, religion, lack of religion. Just everyone is their own human and everyone should be treated the same.
Like people should get hired for their talent, for their skill. It should be based on your work ethic, your ability to be in a kitchen.
I wish people could just be judged solely on how well they perform in the kitchen, how well they cook.
Yeah, I feel like if the CIA were to make something happen, they would need to generally just teach respect. Like we take professionalism classes, but that doesn't teach you respect.
Just actually acting on it, because I feel like a lot of this stuff is seen and realized, but it's just sort of brushed off. Someone just needs to start actually paying attention and doing something about it.
Hi, Val.
Hey, Katie.
Thanks, Val.
I hope that was good.
Recording. Eric.
So, is that it?
That's it.
Awesome.
Yay! Okay. Thanks for talking to me, Kristen. Matt. Thanks for doing this interview.
Of course.
There's gonna be consequences for your actions. They'll see me as being rude.
Putting their victims in a place where they're being manipulated, where they feel unsafe, and where they're suffering as a result of the actions of the person in power.